I'm Ed Massey of Massey Yacht Sales and Service. Myself and Jose Torres, also with Massey Yacht Sales, have put together a series of videos that takes you through all the steps involved in the commissioning and custom outfitting of a new Catalina 445. These videos start with the new Catalina 445 arriving at Sneed Island Boat Works in Palmetto, Florida. The series of videos will end with the 5 days of Massey owner orientation at Regatta Point Marina, also in Palmetto, Florida. We hope you will find this series of videos educational and enlightening. These videos will be posted on the Massey YouTube channel and the Massey website. If you find these videos of interest and would like to view additional Massey videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to contact me directly at 941-725-2350 or at edwardm@masseyyacht.com.
You can see they have the big crane with the extension, and they have the mast already prepped. So what they're doing now is kind of securing the lines and the rigging, and then putting hooking up the crane so they can lift the mast and then control it, and as they spin it around to get it over the boat. So it's going to be interesting because they have 3 boats on that side, so I don't know if they're going to come around this way and go around the cars on this side over the top, or they're going to kind of go straight up, slide it, and then lift it over the boat. So we'll see what happens. Over there at the top, gentlemen, you see right there, that's Ted Wyrack of Innovative Marine Services. He's the marine rigger that's been working on the boat. And the other folks are the folks here at Sneed Island Boat Works. So they're getting kind of things ready. So this should be pretty interesting today. I wish I could be a little closer, but I'm not allowed. This is kind of a high-risk hookup. Now, this side here is the top of the mast. That down there is the bottom of the mast. You can see where the radar is. They have the sling above the radar. So Ted now has to go up on the boat, and as they lift the mast, they have to bring it within inches of the base so they can run all the wire through it and hold it there before they set the mast on the mast plate. So that should be pretty cool. I wish I could be up on top of the boat to record that. I have 3 guys guiding the lift process. They have all the rigging attached, all the wires, the lines, everything is attached to the mast. So they have to carefully raise it so it doesn't get caught up on any of the equipment they have here. You can see Ted's already at the top of the boat getting things ready. The other thing they have attached already is a roller furler, so they have to be careful that they lift the mast completely so they don't drag. And they secure a line to keep the sling from sliding up as they're lifting the mast. So you see the guys have the roller furler kind of setting on the fit of the ground, and now they got the mast completely up in the air. That's a big boy. Now they're lowering the mast to make it get more control of it as they move it, and start the process of swinging it around. Be very careful not to scratch the mast. Every time the crane goes up, they have to lower the mast again so they can keep control over at the base. Slow and steady process. That's kind of how they do it to make sure nothing gets hurt, nobody gets injured, and they get the mast to its proper position. Very delicate process, a little bit at a time, keep things under control. You have Bill running the crane. Bill's the yard master here. Lots of years of experience doing this type of work. He's also an old salt, old captain. The key is to sneak that mast in between the crane and the boat. It's a really tight spot right there. And they're going to get somebody up on the boat to make sure it doesn't come too close. So he's clearing out the wires, making sure the wires don't get caught on the boat as they're sliding the mast in between. You can see how close that is from the crane, the mast, the boat, and they have to keep watching that none of the wires get caught on the other boat's mast. They'll have to swing it around. An interesting thing, they have to know exactly where to position the hook up to the mast, because the crane is not that long, so they have to lift the mast at a certain point so they can clear the deck and get it right over the boat. Otherwise they would have to bring the mast back down and slide that line down in order to be able to lift the mast higher up. So a lot of planning goes into this process. Now the other setup is making sure they don't get too close to the boat with all the wires and the cables and the lines. They're slowly lifting the mast up to get it above the stanchion, and the safety lines to get it into position. Seeing the handoff from the guys on the ground to the guys on deck. Now everybody has to get up on board because as they set the mast down, they have to hook up all the lines, the shrouds, the forestay, backstay. Here goes step one. I'm going to start lining up the mast base with the mast. This all has to be done by hand with the help of the crane. So what they're trying to do is find the proper alignment with the mast base. They have to release the forestay, and you make sure that's clear. So they're carefully releasing the shrouds and the stays while they're trying to hold the mast in place. And the mast is hanging by its spot, so it keeps twisting and turning every time they lose things up. So it's pretty dangerous work. So Ted is tracing the lines that he's going to need and making sure he only releases what he needs at a proper time. You got to be very careful to don't release the line that's holding the crane sling in its place. You have to work quickly and efficiently. There's lines that are already fished through the base of the mast, so they have to tie the wires that are going to go, feet through the stay down into the boat. So they have to kind of match each one of the lines to the proper cable that's going inside of the boat to pull it through. So all of this has to happen at the same time that they're trying to step the mast. So not an easy task. So if you've never seen this before, this is pretty interesting process, and it's something that has to be properly coordinated. So they're going inside the boat to find the correct line and then start pulling that wire through the base and through the conduits at the base of the mast. So they're starting to feed the wire through, and you can see it better from this angle. See, you can see Ted up here. Sorry about the finger kind of pointing, feeding the wire down the base of the mast. Okay, they got one wire in. Now Ted's releasing other connections, other wires that have to go in, tying them up to the fishing lines that he got ran through already. Now they have lines coming from the base that they have to feed through the mast. And I wish I could be up there, but the liability, they won't let anybody near. They won't let anybody up there that's not working on the process just from a safety standpoint. So this is the best angle we can get. And now Ted is feeding wire in from the bottom of the mast, from the base of the mast through the mast. I don't know if I can make this any closer so you can see it. You can see those big wires going through under the base of the mast and coming out the side that we showed you in an earlier video. So now they're slowly guiding the crane operator so they can line up the base. Then they can start the process of lowering the mast into its proper place. Okay, so the mast is about a foot off the deck. So they're pulling the wires, making sure everything lines up correctly. So Ted's still cutting additional wires loose from the big bundle he had in there. Slowly lowering the mast. See Ted pulling the cables that he ran from the underneath the mast that was attached to the base through the mast. Now they have to position it correctly. The mast only sits one way on that mast step. So they have to twist it until it lands properly, then finish lowering into position before they can start attaching the shrouds. Okay, I think we have contact. So they start kind of bringing things into position, setting up the forestay. Now, if you think about it, that forestay had to be measured precisely, so they knew the distance from the top of the mast to where the roller furler would sit on the bow, because they're not getting a chance to cut it after they put it in. They want to do it right the first time. So it takes a lot of planning, a lot of measuring, and making sure things are set up the proper way before they get everything up. If you notice, all the rigging already has the shackles in place, the spinners, so they're basically pre-measured, pre-cut, all the steel that goes into the shrouds, the stays, to make sure that everything is the proper length, so they can set it and then adjust the rigging. You got the forestay hooked up, they're working on the shroud. Now this boat is a double spreader boat, so it has two shrouds coming down on each side, so they have to make sure they put the proper, the outer one in the right place and the inboard one in the correct place, still holding everything with the crane, even though we're at the mast base. They get all the points attached. Once the points are attached, even though they're loose, they'll support the mast, and they can start the process of tightening the rig and then tuning the rig. Now Ed is untying all the different bundles that are fastened to the mast, just so he can clear everything he needs. And right now everything is just done hand tight. Keep in mind, as they're doing all this, they have to be careful. This is a brand new boat, so they're trying to make sure they don't scratch or bend or do anything that could damage the boat. This is a double aft stay on the Catalina 445, so they have the two wires going out the back. See if I can give you a little bit of a close-up. It's kind of hard to tell. You can see one on each side. Hopefully you'll be able to see that on the video. So there's one over here, one over here, and the guys are attaching those to the chain plates, aft chain plates. They're still checking lines and pulling lines through. Guys are attaching the aft stay. So one of the things they're doing now is starting to pull the mast back. So the mast is attached on the sides, on the front, and they're pulling it back now so they can attach the back stays to the proper chain plate. And pretty soon, once they have everything attached, they'll be able to loosen up the crane and have the mast seats completely on the space. Using the crane to assist moving the mast back. You see how the forward stays now has more tension on it. The shrouds have more tension. So with the crane, they move the mast back so they can finish hooking up the aft stays. Supervising all of the work, we have Ed here with us. Morning, Ed.
Good morning.
How's things going today?
It's just about perfect. It's a nice sunny day here in Florida at Sneed Island Boat Works in Palmetto, Florida. We're stepping the rig on this brand new 2023 Catalina 445. And this is always a kind of a delicate operation, but the crew here are experts, great experience, and really good equipment. Ted Wyrack, Innovative Marine, is the rigger that's supervising and kind of managing the rig being put together. He does all of our work on getting the rigs up, the sail plans on, and Ted does a lot of the MEPQC with me. And Sneed Island Boat Works, where we've been doing launches since 1977 and been kind of flawless. So we're always excited for this part of the make ready.
Excellent. Yes, it's been a very interesting process, very delicate. A lot of planning on, lengths of the shrouds and the stays and manipulating that mast, kind of threading that needle in between the boats to get it into place. Very interesting. It would have been fun to watch it from the top, but I know they would never let us sit up there and watch. So
there could be a couple of insurance problems with that.
Yes. So let's take another look here. So the guys are kind of trying to complete the adjustments.
So they're opening up all the turnbuckles right now. When they get them all open, they'll attach them, they'll pin everything, and they'll kind of rough tune the rig, very rough tune. After this, what happens is, and you can see the boat's been bottom painted, the barrier coat has been installed, the boat's now bottom painted, the underwater lights have been installed, the 4-blade max prop has been installed. So what happens next is the boat will go in the water. I'll bring it to Regatta Point Marina here in Palmetto, Florida. We'll hang the boom. We'll install the boom, the boom bang, and then we will go ahead and bend on the sails. And that'll be a few days from now, and that'll be part of the next installment of this From the Truck to the Owner Make Ready series of videos.
So when will the boat be splashed?
Likely in the next day or two.
Okay.
There'll still be a little bit of work to do before we splash it, and then we'll launch it here at Sneed, and then I'll drive it the 3 miles down up the river, up the Manatee River, to Regatta Point Marina. And we have a slip there waiting for the boat.
Excellent. So now they can safely retrieve the crane, secure it, and move it away from the boat, and then the rigging process will continue. They have to be careful as they bring that down so they don't catch the boom on any part of the rigging. Looking up the jack supports. This is a world-class operation here. Guys know, they're highly experienced. They know how to handle all of this situations and equipment. And now the guys are still grabbing each one of the components, the lines, the halyards, bundling them from the mast and running them to the proper place. So as many of you may or may not know, Florida is kind of the capital of lightning strikes. We have more lightning strikes than shark bites in Florida, and we're the leaders on shark bites too, I believe, in the whole country. So I guess as things change over time, the industry is looking at ways to, one, protect the safety of the boat owners, but insurance companies are also looking for a way to minimize damage when we have those types of incidents. So that's a very prudent thing to do.
So if you notice on the masthead, there's an ion dissipator, or what we call a bottle brush, and that sheds the static buildup from developing on the masthead, which makes the boat a less attractive target for lightning. And we don't know that the insurance companies are mandating that this at this point, but we don't want to take any chances. So we're going to start putting those on all of our boats. Just another way to guard against lightning strikes here in Florida.
Well, the guys are still doing the final touches. Boat looks beautiful. Bottom paint on the boat looks like it's 100% complete. So everything's looking very nice. Hey gang, so I have Ted Wyrick here from Innovative Marine Services. He's our rigger. So we're going to talk about from his perspective. He's up on the rig doing all of the work and get his thoughts on how things went and how complicated of a process this is.
So Ted, this is one of many mast steppings you've done in your life. How did this one go?
Not as quickly as normal because we have an unusual amount of electrical wires, and some of them had to be passed through the deck of the boat and down below because of the higher frequency. There's no splices allowed in the cabling, so we had several routes we had to do as we were lowering the mast. So there was quite a bit to keep track of. As far as putting it down, the marina does a great job with the crane. Just as far as moving around, moving slowly, and everything fits well. And right now, once the mast is on the step there, I have to go around and adjust all the turnbuckles. Typically, I have to play with the headstay length, which means disassembling the furler to get to the adjustment and get the rake, what they call the rake of the mast, which is the angle fore and aft correct, and then tighten it up, and then we'll make all the electrical connections inside the mast. We'll pin all the turnbuckles. Then we'll hang the boom, and then after we hang the boom, we'll have to put the main sheet and all the lines to adjust that. And so there's quite a bit goes on after this thing's up in the air.
What happens next is you'll hang the boom to.
Well, first I'll secure the rig. I'm going to secure the rig so it's safe. I'm going to pin everything, tighten everything up, pin it, and then we'll get some help, come back again, get the boom up, and we'll place the boom on the mast, and then make all the connections, the topping lifted holes, and get the boom vang put in place. There's a fixed boom vang which holds that boom up in this particular boat, but all that has to happen. First I want to get the rig secure, and get all the wires connected and out of the way, because inevitably somebody will step on the electrical wires that are all hanging out of the side of the mast right now. So we have to make those connections, clean everything up, get the boat sort of put back together a little bit. I have floorboards up down below where we're pulling wires out, so we're going to spend a little time getting all of that done. And then the crew will come by, a couple of guys give me a hand, and we'll, as I refer to it, hang the boom and then continue with the process.
Then after that, the boat will be launched here at Sneed Island Boat Works. I'll drive the boat back to Regatta Point Marina, and Ted will continue his work at the marina until all the custom work, all the nav electronics, all of that has to be proven, and we'll start an extensive mechanical, electrical, and plumbing MEP QC on the boat.
All right, so I'm going to do a quickie walkthrough here before we leave, just to show you the progress of everything that's been done or still in progress of being done. Like I said, there's a lot of work that's taken for granted on things that have to get done for commissioning of a boat, and hopefully this is helping you learn a little bit more about the process. So let's take a walk. So the bottom has been painted, and this is the bow thruster. The bow thruster is painted. The blades are painted. The prop on the bow thruster. All of these things are not easy tasks to do. Painting around the transducers, the work came out flawlessly. Everything looks beautiful. You can see the underwater lights. They get a halo ring around them. Basically, they paint them without painting the light itself. The propeller, a brand new max prop, 4-blade. It looks like it's been treated with either VLOX or prop speed. I think that's what it's called. Looks fantastic. Fillers painted. So we're gonna get up on board real quick. And really quick, you can see the connection points for the aft stays. There's one that hasn't been connected yet. That is gonna come in and do some of that work. And here, the cabin, you can see there's floorboards are lifted. They have wire running through. As Ted was mentioning, some of this wiring has to be a single wire run. It cannot be a connection. So they have to feed the wire all the way through. So you can see the mast base, you still have a lot of wiring left to do. And if we look up the mast, what you see right there is a cellular antenna. And that antenna requires a wire going straight to the router. So you cannot have a splice anywhere. So that's a very long cable that comes from there down the mast through the floorboards, and it'll end up somewhere right there on the panel.
We hope you have enjoyed these videos showing how we commission a new Catalina. Massey offers the yacht owners the opportunity to spec out many custom installations in addition to the various Catalina factory options. If you find these videos of value and would like to view additional Massey videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to contact me directly at 941-725-2350 or at edwardm@masseyyacht.com. And remember, Catalina yachts are uniquely American with a strong focus on performance, safety at sea, and enduring value. They are overbuilt and underpriced, and that's why Catalina yachts are the sailor's choice.